Welcome to this episode of One Soccer Direct. Mackenzie Barwell, Gareth Wheeler, and Jordan Wilson with you. This is our last episode before our World Cup coverage show begins for the win. So tune in on Monday night.
Wow.
But let's stay in the present for now, you guys, because there's a lot to talk about, especially after Jesse Marsch's matchday -1 availability, which we just tuned into. Gareth, most of that, if not the entirety of it, was the announcement of Maxime Crépeau being Canada's #1 goalkeeper. What are your initial thoughts about the announcement and also the journey it took to get to this point?
Finally! We're finally there. We'll get into Max Crépeau in a second, but I can't remember another case where naming a #1 goalkeeper has been such a thing that we're just over a week out from Canada's first game and like 30 minutes on a #1 goalkeeper being named. I just don't think that the process had to go this way, to be honest with you. This could have just been announced after training one day and they could have just got it over with. And I think the decision should have been made one way or another a long time ago. With that being said, it now comes down to Marsch making the right decision. And in my opinion, Max Crépeau was and will be the right decision for Canada right now. There's something, look, both goalkeepers have their own distinct qualities. Both are good goalkeepers, but I just feel like there's a level of stability when Max is in net, and this is no disrespect to Dane. Everything just seems a little bit calmer, a little bit more on point. And I think that sometimes when you're dealing with different goalkeepers with different attributes, you got to just pick on what feels right. And it kind of seemed that that's what Jesse Marsch was selling today, that this is just a move that he thinks that he puts his team in the best position to win. Now it's just about Max rewarding his manager. And the thing is, because the way this process is played out, if Max Crépeau makes a mistake at the World Cup, if this doesn't play out as planned, then this move is going to be scrutinized. I just don't think that would have been the case with more of a runway heading into the World Cup. But this is where we are. The way that they eradicate any misgivings that I or anyone else has about the process, if Max plays lights out at this World Cup and rewards his manager, it's a non-story and we can all move on. But I just think that the magnitude of this today was just a little bit overstated for me. And there's a lot of other topics, big topics, percolating around this team right now. And there was a lot of airtime given to the announcement of the #1 goalkeeper.
There was. I mean, we're a week away from this World Cup being here in Toronto. We've talked about Bosnia and Herzegovina in this first match. It seems like forever. And now that it's here, we spent probably 20 minutes talking about Max Crépeau and Dane St. Clair. And I think what stood out to me, too, is the fact that Jesse Marsch brought up the fact that when Crépeau signed and he was 18 for CF Montreal and he remember talking to his family, like the connection there of Marsch just maybe believing in Crépeau. And I know he believes in Dane St. Clair and is a competent goalkeeper and he could have maybe swayed that way as well. But the reasons that he gave for Crépeau, you're so right, Wheels. It's about feelings and vibes. I tell my 3-year-old son this as well when he's going to do something dangerous. Just go. Just jump. The longer you wait, the harder it is. If you jump into a lake, you ever stood somewhere and you're like, if you just jumped, it would have been fine on a diving board. And you wait and you wait and you see those kids and all of a sudden their legs are trembling. They're shaking. You're like, it's a 5-foot jump that you normally do, but you've waited so long and now it's a bigger thing. That's what that presser felt like to me. It's like, Is it going to be Max? Is it going to be Dane? Like everyone's been talking about it. I'm like, competent keepers, 2 guys that could do well for Canada. You pick one. And I said when we were on the show a couple of days ago, that he had to do it now. I'm glad that he finally did because now we could just have some solidity, which we need. If you think about how many players are in or out or who's going to start, who's not, I'm glad that Jesse Marsch finally said Crépeau. I think Crépeau would be great for Canada, but again, he drew the line in the sand and it was necessary at this time.
Well, yeah, I mean, to Wheels' point too, pressure's on. And I think it's probably more severe now than it would have been if the announcement came weeks or months before now. Let's talk about some of the other topics that were touched upon. Of course, going into tomorrow, still a handful of players recovering from injury, trying to be match fit by June 12th, Moise Bombito being one of them. Jesse talked a little bit about him. He said, we're being patient with Moise. He had a bit of a reaction after the game against Uzbekistan. But he said, we're not looking at secondary options. They want to give him every opportunity to rebound from this. Jordan, when you think about tomorrow and Friday against Ireland, what do you expect to see as many of Canada's players, including Moise, return to full fitness.
I'm looking beyond as well. Like, I think whatever we see from Moise Bombito, if we see anything tomorrow, what comes to mind is from the times that I played, I always break down, okay, if you're injured and you're trying to return to play and maybe you're an attacking player, you can always sprinkle a little 20 minutes in. Like 70th minute, you could always put that player in and give them a little warm up from halftime, let them go through the courses and see what they can give. And you could deduce and take away from what you got to do. It's different with defenders. So Moise Bombito, I raised my hand a couple of days ago because you're just like, we call him the wheels, you call him the eraser. We know what he brings to the back line. You know that aura and his presence is so important. But that might not be the Moise Bombito that we see right now. What I think about this situation is if 7 days, we're wondering how long Moise Bombito can go and if there's 30 minutes in him or whatever that might be. What that means to me is that June 12th against Bosnia-Herzegovina, he will not be ready. And I always understand people and coaches in that camp being like, you got to take Moise because maybe the second game, maybe the third game, maybe if they go to the round of 32 and beyond, you might need a player like that and he might be feeling better. So yeah, for sure, take him in the 26th. But now I'm even looking beyond Mac and Wheels of Luc de Figueroa, if you're bringing in Ralph Priso, who are the next names up and who could be solidified in that back line. That's what's big to me. And I mentioned Luc de Figueroa the other day. I think Ralph Priso should be a name that's brought to the forefront. And Jesse Marsch has some serious decisions to consider in that back line because guess what? You already have Alphonso Davies that isn't probably ready or fit to go right now. So you can't have 2-3 defenders that are question marks, right? You have to know your 5-6 that are locked in and then make decisions from there. So that's how I feel about the situation.
I might call Moise Bombito the eraser, but I have a hard time penciling him into my 26-man squad come next week. Like, oof. Seriously, how can he be part of the 26-man squad when he left the match limping after 30 minutes on Monday, has just been seen in trainers all week, and Marsch acknowledged in his press conference today that he suffered some kind of reaction. If he can't go 30 minutes, a week and a half out from the World Cup, when will he be able to play? Like Jesse said, and it's admirable that they're taking this approach, that they're giving him every chance to rebound and get back at it because he's such an important player to this group. But at this point, I'm taking that as lip service. Like, I don't buy that Jesse Marsch isn't looking and highly considering other options. And if he's not, it's a mistake at this point. It's wishful thinking. I would love to hear his staff and their metrics about what historically teams going into the World Cup with so many players with question marks around them, lacking match fitness, how that actually ends up. Because this is the scenario that we're in. If Moise Bombito is in isolation, suffering through this, and you're keeping your fingers crossed that he can play a role at some point, even though he hasn't played since October 7th, like, this is a serious injury. Like, I broke my tib fib when I was younger. I was a young man at that time, but it was like a full year until I was back. So, I mean, it's tough. It's such a really tough one. But if they're not thinking about other options right now, I question what they're doing. It's not just Bombito. It's Alfie Jones. It's Alphonso Davies. It's Ali Ahmed. It's Jacob Schaffelberg. Like, how many more players do you want to go down the list and put a questionable tag against them at this point? You need to provide stability, solutions, a straightforward framework that this team is going to rely on when the going gets tough in World Cup games. And right now, they don't have that. I think it's about finding solutions and not what ifs at this point. I feel awful for the situation. Like, look, we all love Moise Bombito, but for me right now, I just don't see how he will be part of the 26-man squad on June 12th.
Wheels, in talking about these question marks, I'm curious to get your thoughts on what Jesse's response was when asked about who might step up in Marcelo Flores' absence. I know he kind of gave some flowers to Jaden Nelson, but if you can kind of step in his shoes, do you think he's mincing his words a little bit, like, and tiptoeing around the question?
There's at least one player to bring in, and based upon Nelson's performance, he's put himself very much into the conversation in the now. But you just can't make those decisions just based upon the now. There's a body of work that's built up to Marsch's perception of the team. And I think Nelson's availability is directly correlates with the health or status of Ahmed and Schaffelberg. two players that play the exact same position, that would probably be ahead of them on the pecking order. I still think they might be a striker short, although Jesse was in full complimentary mode about the performances of all four Canadian strikers. I just go into the World Cup and I think of every scenario possible, whether you might need to go to penalties, whether you might be in extra time in a knockout round, what that might end up looking like. I also think right now, because of the Bombito situation, that Priso is a virtual must in terms of what that scenario looks like. You just, with the status of both him and Alfie Jones, you need a center back. I do like the fact that he's empowered Luc Defoug's role, pinpointed his name about a player that's put himself very much in the mix and likes that he's ready. But right now, I mean, Mac, it seems like Nelson would be a ready-made pick, but I just don't think anything is simple in connecting the dots about who's available and who isn't at this point.
So given that and all of this unpredictability, Jordan, how much insight do you think this lineup against Ireland will provide going into next week, if at all?
I think it should provide a lot defensively. So we already have Crépeau, which is a great decision. I think in a world as well, the back four against Uzbekistan is probably one that Jesse Marsh was like hoping for to maybe start on the 12th, right? But I think if you're looking at it, I'm going off of everything I know from footy in terms of having 9 matches before a preseason game, or if you're looking at camps, okay, towards the end, it's fine that guys do 45 and split, but the game before the game that matters, 60 minutes. You got to start seeing now. Like, this is why these guys are running and getting fit in the heat and in North Carolina and all the travel and all the tests. It's not to go and play 30 minutes. You want to see your back four at least play 60 minutes together. So I think that's going to be very telling. You want to go and make sure that midfield two, which I believe will be Eustáquio and Kone, they can just kind of iron out the kinks before the real dance. Jay David will play, he should play north of 70 minutes, 65. So you're going to start to see like the core of that team. I think the real question mark is left wing. Who's starting and playing this match against Ireland and how much time you give that player. Because if I'm Jesse Marsh, I might have to split a 45 just to make a decision and really see. You might have to empower 2 people and see what's going on. We don't really know about Ali Ahmed. Obviously, if he was healthy, he's probably a number 1 pick for Jesse Marsh. There's still decision. So to answer your question, Mac, that back four, that core, so those are 6 players right there, plus a keeper, you already have the 7. It's just left mid. You're obviously going to take off Buchanan at right wing, and then that striker that maybe he's going to tinker with. But that core, that's locked in. You want to see them 60-plus wheels.
Yeah, and Marsh indicated that he will be playing players more minutes in this game, which is a virtual must at this point, just to build some continuity heading into next week. I'll add another couple positions I'll be looking out for. Richie Laryea only played 30 minutes last week. He's your presumed starting left back. If he doesn't start, then
he has to start tomorrow. He has to.
But he needs to play more than 30 minutes. He needs to show that, you don't want to be chopping and changing your back line in the game if you don't need to. Just that's a recipe for disaster come World Cup. So I need to see some serious burn from Laryea to understand how match fit he actually is. Like 30 minutes wasn't much. He was managed in Edmonton. Let's see this time around on Friday night. I also think there's a decision to be made about the number 9 position. Jesse might go back to Kyle Larin. And that might be the way that he's leaning right now. But I think like fans, onlookers, like they're looking for something to grab a hold of right now. Like, is there a player in that position that's going to be fit and ready and prepared to lead the line in a really good way come the World Cup? I think that the most likely candidate by the fans' preference right now would be Promise David. But I mean, I think that he's more of a super sub just based upon his road to recovery and what he means. So the number 9 position is most certainly one to watch. And just overall, just in terms of the way that they play, they're going to be playing an inexperienced Ireland side. Let's see this team. It might actually be a good opportunity for the group to build some confidence just in their attack, in their movement, the way they actually play, getting Jonathan David much more involved in the attack as well. And maybe they can build some confidence heading into that first game, which is going to be much more difficult to break down a very good defensive Bosnia and Herzegovina team. So we'll see. Just build some confidence, get some good vibes going heading into a massive game next Friday.
Just quickly as a follow-up, Wheels, how different do you feel this Ireland side will be in terms of the preparation Canada will get out of it in comparison to Uzbekistan?
Yeah, it's a young, inexperienced Ireland team that's playing for the future, not playing for now. I like how March said, "Look, it's not about them; it's about us." I think
Mhm.
right now it's about Canada being in the best spot that they can possibly be. So I'm not so worried about the opponent. You want a competitive game, but more so, Canada needs to take steps forward and show they're ready for the World Cup. On the balance of Monday night, although they won, and that's always a positive thing. Another clean sheet, that's a positive thing as well. I just need to see more evidence that this team is ready for what's about to descend on them in the country in a week's time.
Yeah, yeah. Jordan, let's move on and talk about Alphonso Davies. It's been a strange couple weeks when it comes to him, more specifically the conversation surrounding his availability or unavailability leading into this World Cup. Jesse Marsh originally said he didn't think Davies would be available for the World Cup opener, but then they've kind of been back and forth since then. What do you make of what's been said and the information that's kind of been delivered going into the 12th, Jordan?
Yeah, I think we have to rewind back to when Canada Soccer put out the statement and the words "Wheels." We were doing match night at the time when I saw it for the second time and the world saw it. It was just getting Alphonso Davies back to 100% fitness. That was the state, and I'm the players. I get it. We're looking at Promise David. For me, I counted him out of the 26 because I'm like, there's no way this guy could be ready in time. Yes, it was an offside goal, but seeing him strike the ball with his left foot and the fact that he was running in behind, you're like, okay, there are guys who can make a speedy recovery. I just think based on the information that we know from Alphonso Davies, the fact that this is going to be the third hamstring injury that he's trying to get over or get around or come back to play in such a short time, it doesn't look great for June 12th and maybe beyond, right? And I think if we're really being diligent with what was said, is that we're going to wait for him to fully recover, but yet we're still kind of pushing to see how much or how quickly he can go. It's a bit contradicting, right? Like we have to, I get it. It's a World Cup, it's a once in a lifetime. And that's why you're keeping him in a 26 to monitor and see how he is. But we said it before. I love that came out and was like, he's not ready for the 12th. Jesse Marshall said that. Then it was like, okay, well, when will he be ready? Then we went back and it's like, okay, no, he might be right. It's like, if for a hamstring injury like that, I'm sorry, unless he got a whole new hamstring that we don't know about, he's probably not going to be ready for the 12th. And so I'm not a doctor. I'm just going off of the information at hand and how we looked at things. And it was, if I went through the math of the days, and it was saying 5 weeks, 4 weeks of recovery that falls on the 12th, that does not mean once you get that day that now he's ready to go and run 100%. That's not what it means. Mm-hmm. So I'm already counting Alphonso Davies out at the 12. And I think if Canada Soccer and Bayern and everyone's being honest about the situation and said we want him to get completely healthy before he's back on the pitch competing, that might not even be on the 18th too. So we have to accept that as Canadians. That's where I'm at. I'm not looking for Alphonso Davies 80-19 to be bursting down the wing on the 12th or maybe even the 18th.
Something's going on. I don't know what it is. We're not on the ground, but something's going on here because 2 + 2 in my books does not equal 5, but that's where we're ending up. Like it's a weird scenario. And I get that there's sensitivities involved. There's real emotion. I like how Alphonso Davies opened up because this whole time on his road to recovery, you feel like everything that he's been through, you feel for the guy, and it's been emotionally taxing on him. And you can see it. And even on this recovery, the sentiment it's as much psychological as it is physical at this point. When you keep on having a recurring injury that's incited by a huge injury before that, it's not only disheartening, you start questioning your body and your durability and what you can actually provide. And that's what kind of Davies shed light on. I will say this, like, let's walk through the events. Like, it wasn't that long ago that Jesse Marsh said that he wouldn't be available for the 12th. Then Alphonso Davies went on the Sid Seixeiro show and said definitively, based upon the timeline, he wouldn't be available on the 12th. The clip stayed up for a few hours. Everyone saw it. And then all of a sudden it was taken away and the video wasn't posted. And now Davies comes out and publicly has a little bit of a change of heart in a media scrum this week, which I think caught everyone by surprise. Why have the goalposts moved here? Is this just like mind games? Did someone decide that like a better tactic would be like planting seeds of doubt when or if we will see him play? Like, is this gamesmanship? What I would hate to see is anything be expedited, because right now it seems it's not about Alphonso Davies being quote unquote injured. It's a threat of a recurrence of injury. And he can't go back to the place where he's been so often in recent times. It seems as much as it is about recovery, it's about preventative measures as well. So look, like, he will not be rushed, especially based upon how the situation played out with his agent in Bayern Munich in the past. Like, we all witnessed it. So again, we're in a real weird spot where there's sensitivities. I in my mind wrapped around that June 12th, see you later. We'll see you later on in the tournament. Fingers crossed. Let's hope for the best. And I don't know why things have changed. And to be honest, Mac, I highly doubt that the situation has changed. It's just the public posturing is the interesting part.
No, I was just going to say the same. I think the assumption initially was, okay, the 12th is a write-off. But then when you get the mixed messaging, it's like all of a sudden now my hopes are up and now they're crushed again.
You're saying there's a chance.
So you're saying there's a chance. Exactly. Let's end on a more positive note.
1 in a million?
Can we talk about these tracksuits? Just quickly, 30 seconds.
Fire.
My thought is
fuego.
In the build up to this World Cup, like, I love how different kits and different brands like bring different things to the table. I mean, I think Adidas has been leading the way. Like, their gear is being unbelievable. But these tracksuits put Nike right back up in that combo because they are that good.
They're fire.
They are that good. So
I will say
there.
I will also say certain things like worked in that tracksuit in the Vibes' favor, like the little rain dropping as well, and these guys pulling up to the stadium. I was like, "What is this?" Then Iceman dropped as well. Like, I'm just like, "What is going on? Like, what's happening?" It's crazy.
Do you know what you need though? Like, that's good for like really tight for like a rainy day in Edmonton when it's like 7 degrees. When it's like 30 degrees and blistering hot, you gotta have a lightweight, like khaki, like.
All right, we're getting off topic.
You didn't
know Wheels was a fashionista.
Some pastels. you need like an augmentation of that. But I guarantee they got something up their sleeve because
send an email for sure.
I would love that set.
All right, you guys, this is officially the last episode before the World Cup starts. Canada will have one more opportunity to prepare and tune up before their game on the 12th. That'll take place tomorrow, Friday at 7:30 p.m. Eastern Time against Ireland. Don't forget to tune into our World Cup coverage show starting Monday night for the win.